skull rattling bass. That's what these Skullcandy Crushers are known for. So can a little startup from India do one better? One thing we will say, they've done their research.
Namaste, we're DHRME. Definitely hoping research made excellence.
So this video is going to be part review, part comparison, and part interview. Yes, you heard that right. We spoke with the CEO of Sonic Lamp for this video. And as a treat for our members and patrons, we'll upload the full interview video for you guys. So watch out for that.
Alright, skull shaking bass. If you weren't aware, the Skullcandy Crushers employ haptics. You know, like the kind you find in your cell phone or other vibrating devices. This crusher functionality basically vibrates the headphones on your head, and its effects can be turned up or down using a physical dial or the app. This gives the bass a more physical feel. It's a pretty unique idea and an amazing one for bass heads who miss the bass waves hitting their body at a live concert.
So what does Sonic Lamp do? Well, why don't we let the CEO of the company explain it to us?
Our technology that's inside Sonic Lamp is to reproduce the experience that the subwoofer delivers. Between 20 Hertz to up to 80 Hertz, or even sometimes it extends to 120 Hertz. And this is a part of the sound that resonates through our body. Now, when it comes to headphones, it's a single driver. It can be electrostatic, planar, magnetic, or dynamic driver. But they basically convert audio signal into sound waves that is heard by users. It's completely directed into the ears and they're able to hear the sound. But it lacks an implementation which allows the headphones to reproduce as part of the sound that we can feel through our body, the sub-bass part of this spectrum. Primarily, in case of our technology, we have this impulse driver over here. This is basically our transducer. We design, engineer it, also make it in-house. And this part of this transducer is connected to the woofer pads. And these ear pads are basically specially tuned to work with the impulse driver. So when a beat is being played, so when you have a beat, or if there's a drum that is struck, so at that moment the impulse driver actually moves physically back and forth. When a beat is played, it is accurately reproduced by this impulse driver, so it physically moves back and forth. And because it's connected to the woofer pads, when the user wears the headphone, the ear pads also move back and forth on a microscopic level. And this basically allows the users to not just hear music but also feel it. And the way the audio is reproduced is through bone and skin conduction. So here, because it's not sound waves, it's basically physical movement. And this physical movement is something that is felt through the skin, through the mechanoreceptors on the skin, and also through bone conduction, because the ear pads are coupled to the mastoid region of the skull, and this is how they're able to feed the sound.
So that's fun. A special driver that basically moves based on which frequencies are being produced. And the key difference is that you're basically feeling the bass through the ear pads using skin and bone conduction. Pretty cool idea, and trust us, it works. It has 4 different modes, with the first turning off the induction driver completely. The beast mode is the max mode, which is a bit much for our taste, but the second setting, feel, works really well for most genres of music. We'll compare it to the Skullcandy in a bit, but here's Navjit explaining what he thinks the difference is. Who would you categorize as competitors, and what does Sonic Lamp have over them?
What comes to my mind is the Skullcandy Crusher series. They have haptics. It's like a vibrative haptic system inside. And when we developed the headphones, the first headphone that we had as a reference was Audio-Technica, and then we had the Philips SHP 9500 to make sure that we get a sense of a neutral response. But the other headphone that we had was the Skullcandy Crusher itself, because we want to make sure that if you're building this, it should be something that is unique, would add value, or else it would not make sense. But when we tried it out for the first time, we couldn't use it, we couldn't enjoy using it. It did emulate a bass response, but it was more of like vibration instead of accurately reproducing the bass response. So in our case, the driver that we have is like, imagine a dynamic driver without the diaphragm. And the ear pads basically emulate or work like a virtual diaphragm. So it's actually a motor coil system, and that allows us to produce the beat accurately. So if you see the cross section when the beat is reproduced, you can actually see it move back and forth pretty accurately with response to the audio signal. So instead of just simple vibration, it is controlled movement that accurately plots the audio response. So I would say if you look at a typical haptics-based system, it's like a square wave. It's high or low. You won't be able to plot the region in between. In our case, you can actually plot it. So it would properly plot the sine wave response instead of just being a square. Instead of just on and off, it basically reproduces the response pretty accurately. So yeah, that's basically what sets us apart in terms of the experience.
That was a nerdy explanation, but we can confirm that the Sonic Lamb's effect is much more nuanced and accurate compared to the Skullcandy. And because a lot of the experience is not auditory, it's hard to capture on normal measuring rigs. The overall music also still sounds way cleaner on the Sonic Lamb despite you feeling the bass. One thing we will give the Skullcandy though is that somehow the very lowest of low frequencies are still very palpable on the Skullcandy, whereas the Sonic Lamb seems to have a threshold as to how low of a frequency it can communicate. On the other hand, this leads to a lot of muddiness in the upper mids, which the Sonic Lamb avoids very well. The Sonic Lamb is definitely at its best at mid to louder volumes. At lower volumes, the bass doesn't feel that impactful.
The Sonic Lamb does not support an analog output though. It does, however, have a built-in DAC enabling audio over USB Type-C. I could use this connection to listen to music, and all the buttons also worked on my Mac, including volume. The Skullcandy does bring an analog jack, and that might be useful for those of you still sporting that ancient interconnect, the headphone jack. Now let's take a look at the build. To be fair, the Sonic Lamb isn't necessarily bulkier because of those big bass drivers in there. The case looks exactly like the Focal Batiste hardshell case, so that's a nice touch. In the unboxing, you also get Coir in the box, sustainability I guess. There are 3 buttons, including a mode rocker on the Sonic Lamb, whereas the Skullcandy has better separated buttons as well as a crusher rocker. So same idea on both, the wheel adjusts the amount of bass. The Skullcandy is also foldable and generally more compact.
The Skullcandy lets you do a bunch more. The buttons also feel clicky, whereas the Sonic Lamb goes for a soft press. The crusher rocker doubles as a bass control rocker as well as a preset selector. You can select a preset by pressing the rocker down for 1 second. Surprisingly, Sonic Lamb offers 3 colors of headphones with these sleek looking LED lights on the cups that you can turn on and off in the app. The Skullcandy, however, offers just 1 color, true black. Hey, at least it's not obsidian, whatever that means. In terms of comfort, the Skullcandy is standard ANC headphones fare with normal sized ear pads. Think Sony WH-1000XM4. They were actually kinda uncomfortable with glasses on, but the cups on the Sonic Lamb are very different. Even though the cups aren't very deep, they're surprisingly comfortable for long periods of time too, due to that enormous amount of cushion. They're also easily removable and replaceable, but that's not all these ear pads do.
Both of these come with an app, but as is expected, Skullcandy's Skull IQ app is more feature-rich. The Sonic Lamb will soon be available on the App Store and the Play Store, we were told, but when we downloaded it, it was an APK, even though the image said Play Store. I guess those are the perks of early testing. The features are also lacking with the earprint hearing test in a coming soon state, whereas Skullcandy's hearing test is just available in the app, as are many other things.
The Sonic Lamb has 2 built-in microphones and the Crusher has 4. But the Sonic Lamb comes with something unique in the box that we've not seen on many headphones, a detachable boom mic. Wow, imagine if headphones that cost many times more did this. So you know us, we're gonna
popsicle, ice, icicle, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, now some breeze on the Sonic Lamb headphones with a boom mic like an idiot in the wind outside. Here we go. Popsicle, ice, icicle, testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's much more wind.
There's not much in the way of Fuckman controls here. Both can change volume control while on phone calls and answer and hang up. That's about it. And then there's battery life. Skullcandy advertises 50 hours, whereas the Sonic Lamb, well, it's a bit more complicated. Because of the physical nature of that bass driver, there's much more variance in the battery life, depending on which mode you use it in.
Let's just be clear, for most people in most ways, the Skullcandy Crusher ANC2 is superior to the Sonic Lamb. I mean, to begin with, it has ANC and transparency, and a better app like we said. We're not even talking about features like voice control and general quality of life comforts. And get this, these are both the same price, about $229 US. So why are we even comparing them? It should be a slam dunk, right?
Well, for one, we're a bit tired of established companies and their tired iterative updates on basically the same thing. And both these products bring something new. But Sonic Lamb's a startup going up against the big behemoths of the audio world, and these kind of companies need to be celebrated. Of course, both of us have Indian heritage and we have a soft spot for these guys. Navjit really knew what he was talking about and understood the technical implementation of it well. That's kind of cool to see in a CEO. So yeah, these are certainly not the best value and are definitely not for everyone. But they are unique enough where if you feel like you want to add an option to your work from home setup, or you're a bass head who wants to take it to the next level, or just somebody with a headphones collection that's looking for something new and unique, these offer something no other headphones on the market do, at least as well. Links will be in the description.
So we bought the Skullcandies with our own money and got sent the Sonic Lamb, but that in no way influences our opinions except those biases we already mentioned. We never accept money from companies whose products we review. DHRME is sponsored by you, our viewers, our dear members and patrons, and our dearest Bachman tier supporters, Paula, Hunter, and Gamma Panda.
You've been cranium crushing lambs.
And we've been DHRME. Dewey.